I'm going to make some people mad at me today.
I love when people start their videos like this. I've said it a million times, but if you believe that you truly are correct, you shouldn't care that you're making people mad. But if you do care that you're making people mad and you feel like people are getting unnecessarily mad at you all the time, maybe you're wrong about what you're about to say.
I'm going to make some subscribers mad at me today. Just remember, this is my opinion. This is simply my opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. This is my opinion. Now watch me say things that are definitively wrong for 15 and a half minutes. Good Lord. Let's see if I can actually make it that far.
All because somebody has an opinion that you don't agree with doesn't make you an ist or a hater or whatever isms that everyone likes to put onto things. You know, there's a thing called respect.
I get really, really excited when people start prefacing their videos like this because you know it's going to be a dumpster fire when you spend the first minute and a half of your commentary just preemptively defending yourself from criticism. Someone is not very secure in their arguments.
And you can respect someone's opinion without agreeing with their opinion, without thinking, you know, that doesn't really work for me, but this is someone else's opinion, that's fine.
But there is also a huge difference between here is my opinion, oh, that's different than mine, that's okay, and here is my opinion, wow, that is factually incorrect, and I should probably correct you, because that's kind of my whole thing.
But there's a growing mindset that seems to be happening within the video game industry right now that is just beyond me. I completely do not understand it. And I want to tell you guys why I don't understand it.
Yes, please do. I want to hear all about the things that you don't understand. And maybe I can educate some people in the process of explaining to you why your opinions are incorrect. And also, just side note, if you have an opinion that is literally factually incorrect, it's not an opinion, you're just wrong.
And try to find maybe some middle ground or something like this, because I like to read comments. You know, I might not reply to all my comments on my videos or videos that I've been featured in, but I like to read them. I like to see, you know, what everyone's thinking about something.
I want you to post in the comments right now what you're thinking right now in this very second. Literally right now in this very second. Even if you were just spacing out and not even really paying attention, I want to know what you were thinking about right now. Right now. Go. Type it right now. I'm going to check all your work. I'm going to give you a gold star if you were being honest. I will be able to tell.
Because to me, a comment section of a video is not for me. You know, I've made my point in the video that I made.
What?
The whole point of a comment section is for other people to give their opinions and talk with other people that maybe have a likewise mentality or maybe have a different mentality. And that's the beauty of a comment section. You shouldn't get necessarily angry at it.
So a comment section is not for the person who actually made the video. The little mini forum that is directly correlates to a video, that's not for the creator of the video to look at feedback to the video. Okay.
Just learn why other people feel a certain way. And that's something that we're going to be talking a lot about in this video is feeling. Because we've gotten to a point in society where you can have numerical data, you can have business data, you can have all sorts of information, but we feel a certain way and the feeling should be able to trump the other things, and those are more important than actual data. And this, of course, is all stemming from console exclusives being anti-consumer, which was a topic that we talked about on the Spawncast Saturday night.
This is going to be a dumpster fire. Oh my God. I love how telegraphed this one is. We're a minute and 53 seconds into the video and you've just spent the entire thing preemptively defending yourself from criticism, which is amazing. I'm excited for the rest of this video because I'm going to get a fucking hoot out of this one. But also, very strange choice to preemptively say like, oh, we're in this weird world of people having feelings that trump data, as you are about to go into a long rant about why console exclusives are not anti-consumer. Yikes.
And so many people in those comment sections were like, these old guys have this old mentality and they just don't get it. Console exclusives are holding back the video game industry. Console exclusives are the worst thing for the video game industry. And I'm like, I respect your opinion. You're allowed to have your own opinion, but I don't agree with your opinion.
It's not just people in your comment section or in your community that are saying those things. And if you are actually as committed to understanding other viewpoints as you say you are, you would know this. It's not just random people and random gamers saying console exclusives are anti-consumer or are holding back gaming. It's big name developers as well. Developers have been saying this publicly and on no uncertain terms for over a decade now. Back in 2010, it was Crytek. Back in 2011, it was DICE. Back in 2017, it was Hazelight Studios. And just last year, it was Remedy Entertainment. Consoles absolutely hold back the industry. You try being a big name developer, big hotshot developer, trying to make this really amazing piece of tech, this great game with amazing graphics and amazing animations and amazing technical capabilities on a machine that you did not design, you have no control over, and has been stagnant and outdated for multiple years at the time that you started development. Meanwhile, something like the PC has been continuously getting better and better and more advanced throughout that entire time. But you can't make your game on that more technically advanced machine because the publishers said no. The publishers said you have to get this game out onto the consoles. Look at me with a straight face and tell me that's not holding gaming back. And as for the anti-consumer aspect, look at me in the face and tell me the consumer shouldn't have the option to do that. Tell me the consumer shouldn't have the option to choose their platform. One of them is super fucking outdated and anti-consumer and very top-down and corporate, and the other one is the PC, where things are constantly changing, things are constantly evolving, and you don't have orders from one company telling you what you can and cannot have. My cat just knocked a box off the top of my fridge and it scared the fucking piss out of me. But let me just paint you a picture here. I, as a consumer, am a gamer. I would like to buy video games. I need a machine to play my video games on. I like the look of this one video game. Let's call it Spider-Man or something stupid like that. And I want to play Spider-Man. But I also really don't like Sony's business practices. I don't like what they're doing with game pricing. I don't like how they tried to hold back cross-play for the longest time and cross-progression. I just don't like Sony. I don't want to give them my money. But up until very recently, if I wanted to play Spider-Man, which is a character Sony did not make, by the way, and it was a game that was not made by Sony, by the way, I had to give Sony a few $100s in order to play that game that I wanted to play, even though it's a machine I didn't want. And a competing machine like the PC or maybe the Xbox or maybe the Switch would have fit my wants as a gamer better. But I am forced to get a Sony machine if I want to play Spider-Man. Tell me with a straight face that is not anti-consumer, because that is like textbook definition anti-consumer.
That doesn't mean that I'm trying to belittle you or something like that. I don't agree with your opinion because you have to look at the video game industry as a whole. You have to look at where video games have come from.
Well, I don't know much about you, but you seem to be a very Nintendo-based person. So I'm not surprised this is the route you're taking.
I'm an older guy. I'm 37, okay? I grew up with the rise of video games. When the NES started becoming a big thing in the United States back in 1985.
The NES was... Wait, what? The NES in 95? The NES launched in the United States in 1985. You were off by a whole decade.
I was born in 1985, hence RGT 85. So I have seen the meteoric rise of this industry from something niche and fringe, not Jordan fringe, to something that is, accepted. It's commonplace.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. You're saying like, oh, I was around with the rise of consoles. And where you're going to go with this is, these early consoles, they all had their mascots and their exclusive games. And if you wanted to play this exclusive game, you had to play it on this console. Therefore, it's okay. Let me give you a really wild idea right now. Okay, ready? You better lock yourself into your seat when I say this, because it's gonna blow your mind. Just because things used to be done a certain way doesn't mean that was the best way to do them. I grew up on the PS2 and the GameCube and the Xbox, which were also very exclusive-driven platforms. That doesn't mean I was never annoyed at the fact that I couldn't play certain games on certain consoles.
Everyone plays video games nowadays. It's not like you have to be some weird nerd, dwelling in your basement playing video games. It's not like you have to be ashamed about playing video games and loving video games. It's a socially accepted thing.
Literally has nothing to do with what you were talking about. I feel like this is a fallacy, like completely misdirecting the argument or completely changing topics in the middle of an argument to make yourself sound smarter or more appealing. Isn't that a fallacy? I forget which one.
But with this rise, we've seen console exclusives are anti-consumer, and I don't understand that mentality. I don't.
Really? You don't understand that as the gaming industry gets bigger and more accepted and there's more machines and more options for the consumer, you don't understand why platform exclusive games are more and more outdated? You really can't rub two sticks together and figure that one out?
Because when you go back to, when console exclusives started happening, you have to remember with the NES, okay, on the NES side of things,
which came out in 1995, right?
Nintendo had strict laws with companies that wouldn't allow them to make Sega Master System games. Okay, if you made third-party games, you could only make it on Nintendo platforms in the United States. So because of this, you had arguably the most anti-consumer thing because you only had one system to play.
Yes, you figured it out. That is anti-consumer. I have no clue how you're going to justify the thesis of your own video after you said this. That is anti-consumer, yes. A company saying to a third-party company that if they want to work with them, they have to never work with any other competing company, regardless of how popular the other company may be, like locking the company into one platform to develop for, yes, that is anti-consumer. You're correct. And I have no clue how this is even going to remotely support your argument.
You only had one version of a game on one system, and there wasn't any sort of competition.
No competition. Yes, that is bad.
Now, of course, in Europe, this was not the case. And when you look at the Sega Master System library of games compared to Europe and the United States, it's a night and day difference. There's so many awesome games that were stuck in Europe because of Nintendo's anti-consumer mindset of only allowing companies to make on one platform.
You're missing a lot of things here. First of all, Nintendo is not the only console manufacturer in America. Believe it or not, there used to be more than 3 of them. But also, going back to what I said before, my big, mind-blowing point that's gonna fucking make your brain melt out of your ears. It's almost like things change with time, and it's not uncommon for an industry to change its standards and for people's opinions of industry practices to change as time goes on. This is not weird at all, okay? The NES launched in the United States almost 40 years ago. This is not a relevant argument to the modern industry.
Of course, as video games have come along and video games have risen, you had that 16-bit era where you would have multi-platform games, and this ended up becoming a very big thing. Third-party developers were making games for both the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Sometimes the games were the exact same game title, but they were completely different experiences. Look at something like Aladdin on the Genesis versus Aladdin on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, and this practice actually continued through the 360 era. I don't think multi-platform games ever became uniform across all platforms until like the 6th gen of consoles, I want to say, with the 360 and the PS3. Because even up till that point, you had games on the Xbox and PS2, or GameCube and PS2, or PS2 and PS3 being completely different versions of the game, even though they, were called the same thing and marketed the same way. I know when I was younger, I got fucked over with that at one point because I tried to get, I wanted to get Spider-Man 2, but we didn't have a game console at the time that Spider-Man 2 came out. So I ended up getting Spider-Man 2 on the Mac. And if you know anything about Spider-Man 2 on the Mac, it was disappointing, to say the least. But this was really just a difference in the game industry, and it's something that has kind of evolved its way out of the industry, you know what I mean? With how different the various gaming platforms were back in the day, different studios were usually working on different versions of the same licensed game in order to get that licensed game out faster or out on more platforms. Or there was stuff that you said about how, certain manufacturers like Sega or Nintendo were like, oh, we only want this, we want our own exclusive version of the game. So, the SNES and the Genesis version of Aladdin or The Lion King. I think The Lion King was different that way too. They were very different games. That practice just doesn't really exist anymore, partially because it annoyed the shit out of people.
Wildly different games, still based within the Aladdin universe, and it boiled down to which version of the game did you like better? Me personally, the Sega Genesis version is superior. I don't understand why people love the Super Nintendo one more so than the Genesis, but that's just their opinion.
Really sounding like a boomer here. You started this video saying that you don't understand why people think console exclusives are anti-consumer today, and we are almost 5 minutes into the video. We haven't even gotten past the Genesis era. Can we speed it up, please?
That's just their opinion. They can feel however they want, but their feelings are not going to change my mentality.
And they shouldn't. How somebody feels about something you believe should never bother you unless what you believe is factually incorrect. Then you should consider not believing it. But if you hurt somebody's feelings with your opinions, or you hurt somebody's feelings by saying something that is factually true, you shouldn't fucking care. Which goes back to why I thought it was so funny that you spent the first minute and a half of this video preemptively apologizing.
And back then, we never said things like, oh man, I really wish I could have this particular game on my platform. Why is it only on the other platform?
Are you fucking kidding me? Everyone said that. Have you... What? Maybe I just didn't hear it because I'm not a fucking boomer. Sorry, that was mean. But people absolutely said this. When I was a kid, I wanted an Xbox, but I also wanted to be able to play Sly Cooper and Super Smash Bros. Melee. Eventually I got the Wii, and I was upset that I couldn't play Halo and Gears of War, and eventually I bought a 360 to get those games. Because that's the way the industry used to work, and it was really fucking obnoxious how you had to buy a whole other platform to buy a game that you wanted, or two games that you wanted, and then when you become like a fully functioning adult, like when you're actually making your own buying decisions and not just putting stuff on your Christmas list anymore, you really start to realize how fucking backwards this is. I have distinct memories of wishing certain games were on other platforms.
Why don't things work in the way I want to work? We never really said that. We just accepted it. We understood how things work in life, and this new mindset, this new mentality of people where everything should be kumbaya. You shouldn't have to work for anything in life. Everything should just be handed to you, and everything should be available to you and only you, and everyone around you. It's beyond me.
That literally has nothing to do with the argument. Like, not even a little bit. You think that because people are annoyed at anti-consumer practices in the gaming industry, that means it's a mentality of just wanting the world to be handed to you and not working for anything. I made the joke about you being a boomer, but holy shit, now you sound like a boomer. I hate people who don't want to work for anything just as much as the next person. I'm a libertarian. I probably hate them even more than you do. And even I'm saying you sound stupid right now. You sound very stupid. You presented an argument at the beginning of the video, and you said you don't understand people who don't agree with you on this, and you've done absolutely nothing to justify your points. And now you're bringing in an entirely unrelated demographic of people just to point a finger at them and be like, fuck those people. I don't like this unrelated thing because fuck these completely unrelated people. I can't imagine why you anticipated angry subscribers on this video. Can't imagine it.
It's beyond me, because even back with the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 and the Wii, yes, there were console exclusives for those games. Yes, there were first-party console exclusives. Yes, there were third-party console exclusives for those systems.
Why does your face look like you ate something sour and smelled something bad at the exact same time?
And you know what? If you wanted to play those games, you bought the damn system.
Yes, and I say it again. Just because things worked that way doesn't mean it was the best way for things to work. Just because the industry used to do this doesn't mean it was the most pro-consumer way of doing things. Why the fuck do you think it changed?
And yes, oh, well, who can afford all this stuff? Life's not fair, blah, blah, blah. You know what I did? Okay, when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out on the PlayStation 3, I had an Xbox 360 that I had saved up money to buy, and I was in my early 20s, and Metal Gear Solid 4 came out for the PlayStation 3, and I said to myself at that point in time, I need to buy that bundle that they're releasing, but I can't afford it. So you know what I did? I walked into Best Buy, they gave me a credit card, and I built up my credit score buying it. I didn't say, holy shit, this is so anti-consumer. I can't believe Konami is putting this game that's a third-party game only on the PlayStation 3.
You're, again, with you just completely not talking about the thing that you yourself brought up 5 seconds ago. Yes, back when the industry used to work around console exclusives more aggressively, if you wanted a console, you would have to buy the console. And if you needed money for that, you would have to get money for that. This is not an argument for pro-consumer or anti-consumer. Like, not even a little bit. This is like, hey, I hate how gas prices are so high. And you know what I had to do when I had to get gas? When my car was empty and I needed gas? I went to the gas station. But you know what? Because I went to the gas station and filled my car up with gas, I'm no longer upset about gas prices being high. That is quite literally the argument you're making. People are pointing at this thing and being like, I don't like how this is the one way to do this. But you're like, well, I did it that way. I don't care. No one cares. This isn't an argument. You at the beginning of this video were like, what's the deal with people using emotions to trump empirical data? You've been doing that exact thing the whole video. Oh my God.
I want it on my Xbox 360. I can't believe... No. It's business. In business, companies are going to do what's best suited for them. Companies are going to do what's going to generate them the most profit.
Or they're going to do something that's going to make consumers happy and make consumers more likely to trust them and give them money in the future. And one way you do that is by making the buying process as easy as possible for the consumer. Have you ever considered that?
We've developed this mindset. We've developed this relationship that's a very one-sided relationship with these companies, because at the end of the day, these companies don't give a damn about you. They give a damn about their investors, and they give a damn about their bottom line.
Exactly. They don't give a damn about you. They only give a damn about their bottom line, about their investors, about making money. So why is every major company abandoning console exclusives now? Have you ever considered that maybe you're just wrong?
Now, yes, they want to make consumers happy. They want to do things that they think consumers will like, but all because they do something that's a little bit against the grain, which wasn't really against the grain in history, it doesn't make them anti-consumer. It doesn't make them a bad company.
You're correct. Console exclusives were not against the grain a while ago, but that doesn't mean that it's against the grain now. As an industry grows, as consumers become more familiar with something, companies are not going to be able to take advantage of the consumer's lack of knowledge anymore. As more companies get into the market and compete and show what can be done, show what the potential of this platform is, the potential of this product can be, consumers are going to start looking at other companies that aren't doing those things and asking themselves why not. Console exclusive games are not against the grain now. They still exist, but there has been a shift in the buying mentality of when a console game comes out now and it's completely exclusive to one system. You instinctively have to ask why, because so many other companies are releasing games on both consoles, or, the Xbox and the Switch, or the PS5 and the Switch, or the PS5 and the PC, or the Xbox and the PC. Because more people getting to play more games is always a good thing. 100,000% of the time, that is always a good thing. This isn't people not wanting to work. This isn't people wanting the world to be handed to them. This is just consumers wanting companies to meet them halfway. Right at the borderline is where I'm going to wait for you.
You could make a case about Microsoft buying up all these studios, and that's sort of the crux of the conversation, because everyone is saying that if Microsoft starts doing these games, and even Sony themselves, a game like Call of Duty, we can't compete with Call of Duty if it were to go as a console exclusive game. You can't compete.
Nobody is asking you to make it console exclusive. I wasn't aware this was something that was even on the table.
You can't compete. I'm sorry. I thought the whole point of the video game industry was competition.
Yes, competition. Platform to platform competition. And the best way for platforms to compete with one another is for the platform to make itself more appealing to the buyer. This is the argument I've been making for years. I have a PC. I don't want a PS5. I don't want an Xbox Series X, because they don't have anything that I can't get on my PC. Now, if the Xbox Series X or the PS5 were to reduce their prices and introduced some kind of new subscription service that I was really on board with, something other than Xbox Game Pass or PSN, I genuinely would consider it. But games are not enough to make me budge. And that's what Microsoft and Sony have finally taken note of. A handful of console exclusive games that people may or may not be interested in, that's just not enough to make people budge anymore. Especially with how expensive the new consoles are. Nobody is going to go drop $700 just to play Demon's Souls. I'm sorry, they're not going to do that. Or at least the number of people who are going to do that is just not enough for Sony to justify keeping it on one platform. The same goes for Xbox. The number of people going out and buying an Xbox just to play Halo or just to play Forza, that number of people is shrinking. Because as the industry grows, as the industry expands, as the industry evolves, less and less people feel inclined to go spend hundreds of dollars on a new system just to then spend $60 or $70 on the one or two games that they liked, and then $50 a year on the subscription service to play that game online. People just are less interested in that, and they're less inclined to do it. So Microsoft and Sony are finally realizing this. They're finally realizing that they can't use games alone to get people onto their platform, which means the games are going multi-platform and the platforms themselves now have to improve. This is the free market at work. A bunch of companies are doing something that is anti-consumer, but since they're all doing it, they're all getting away with it. But then there is a shift, and consumers start noticing the shift, being like, hey, I like that shift. Why aren't the other companies doing that? And eventually, the other companies can't help but take note of that and realize that they now look like the bad guys. They now look outdated, and people are getting a little fucking tiffy towards them because they're being a big fucking poo-poo head about it. Sorry, it's 9:30 in the morning, and I've had nothing but coffee so far today. What you are describing here is all good, and it's the industry working as intended. It's the free market working as intended, and everyone is benefiting from it. And it's fucking hilarious to me that the only argument you can seem to muster up against this is, oh, it used to be different. Which is the most boomer shit I've ever heard in my life.
I thought the whole point of the video game industry was to strive to do better. And if someone is doing something better than you, you try to find a way to circumvent that. You try to find a way to combat that, because competition makes for a better product. It makes for a better industry, a healthier industry, because now
better product makes for better industry. So by all means, use game exclusives to hold back the industry. You fucking dunce. You're contradicting yourself every other sentence, and now it's just getting annoying.
You have to come up with ideas. You have to think outside of the box. Not everything is just being handed to you from these third-party developers.
Oh my God. If someone is fucking selling something to you, they're not handing it to you. There's still a transaction there, you fucking airhead.
It seems like the whole conversation doesn't really revolve around first-party exclusives, though, because that was something that a lot of people in the comments section of that video said, because I just basically said, you want to play a first-party Sony game? You buy a PlayStation.
I'm so fucking... this has nothing to do with what you're saying. I'm just so fucking tired of absolutely everyone using the same fucking goddamn subscribe with the bell icon pop-ups like 5 times through the... I'm so tired of it. You will never see this on my channel because it's so fucking lazy and I hate it. I trust people who watch my videos to be smart enough to click the fucking subscribe button. I don't feel the need to remind them every 5 seconds because I trust that if you like my content, you're gonna click the fucking subscribe button. I'm so, sorry, I expect people who found their way to YouTube and found my video and have been listening to me talk. Excuse me for expecting them to be cognizant humans.
Maybe a couple years you can play it on PC, but you buy a PlayStation. You want to play a Gears of War or Halo? You buy an Xbox.
Or a PC. I guess also for God of War now, also a PC. And that's the good thing. You have options now. I want to buy this game. I want to play this game. Great. I have multiple platform options. I'm not buying one platform to buy one game. I now have multiple platforms with multiple different appeal to buyer shit. There's multiple platforms that appeal to buyers in different ways because they do different things and have more features on them, or different features, different subscription services, different online quality, different price models. This is so pro-consumer, and it drives me fucking bananas that you can't see it.
You want to play Mario or Zelda, you buy a Nintendo product. But people say, no, it's not about that. It's about the third-party exclusives. Okay, let's talk about how third parties work, because I'm someone who's spoken with a ton of third parties throughout the years.
That sentence literally means nothing. You know what third party means? Third party just means not the direct source. So you saying you've spoken to a ton of third parties over the year, that sentence literally means nothing.
Especially back in my journalism days when I was doing Nintendo Enthusiast.
Oh, you're okay. You know what? That explains it. You were a journalist for Nintendo Enthusiasts. There's still 7 minutes of this fucking video left, and I've been recording for 41 and a half fucking minutes. I'm gonna tap out of this. I'm gonna edit this. We're not getting anywhere. You're extremely dense. I'm trying to be at least a little bit polite, but you're making it really difficult. You are incredibly dense, and it astonishes me that you've been a gamer for this long and you don't understand how this works. I wish you the best, as long as the best comes with access to Google, because this is insane. Toodles.